President Trump will make the case for a border wall at a rally at El Paso, Texas tonight. In Washington, talks to avert a second government shutdown have fallen apart tonight over immigration. The administration wants to increase ICE's capacity to hold illegal immigrants. Democrats want to place a cap on how many ICE can detain so that more illegal immigrants without criminal records can be released into the United States. Mark Morgan knows a lot about this subject. He ran Customs and Border Patrol under the previous president, President Obama, and he joins us tonight. Mr. Morgan, thank you very much for coming on. So Democrats are demanding that ICE cap bed space in the interior of the country, not the borders, in the center of the country, to 16,500 a year. If that were to happen, what would it mean?
So what that is that's a significant step towards really abolishing ICE via the checkbook. And there's actually two elements to their plan. They want to actually reduce overall bed space for ICE and then cap the interior enforcement. So basically, we already know that if you're a child or a family unit, you're going to be allowed in this country. That's catch and release 1.0. This will virtually mean catch and release 2.0. Common sense, right? As bed space goes down, illegal immigration goes up. ICE, Border Patrol turns everybody we apprehend over to ICE. As the bed space goes down, that means they're going to have to release more individuals into the interior United States. That is catch and release 2.0. The other thing real quick, what that does is, from a common sense standpoint, that means that people here that are here illegally and have committed an additional crime and or charge of additional crime, ICE will be forced to release them.
So the argument you hear from Democrats is these people shouldn't have been arrested in the first place. The overwhelming majority of people arrested by ICE have done nothing wrong other than adding to our economy, and that it's bigoted to arrest them. What do the numbers tell us about that?
Completely false, and that's the question. So right now, ICE alone last year arrested, I think the number is well in excess of 120,000 individuals that are here illegally for an additional crime. Right now, the 45,000 that ICE has detained right now, 70 to 80% of them, almost, I think around 85% of them, have been convicted and or charged with another crime besides entering illegally. So that's a complete false narrative.
I think the number is 88%. Yeah. So that would mean, just to be completely clear, as a math question, if you capped bed space at the threshold they're calling for, by definition, you'd be releasing criminals into the population.
That's correct. Right now, if you do the math, immediately, if this bill passed, they would have to probably release about 8,000 individuals, criminal aliens. And it's not the crime of illegally entering. This is crimes in addition to that.
So what percentage of those show back up for their hearings, would you say?
Minuscule.
None.
Right.
The number is 3%, we checked. And I think those people wandered in by accident. So basically, you're suspending the rule of law for a large group of people who've been charged with or convicted of crime.
That's right. You're reducing the bed space. Illegal immigration is increasing. The numbers will show that. And so more people are going to be released into the interior United States, and they're telling ICE they can't enforce that and actually go and get them. What we've created here is a sanctuary country. That's where we're headed.
So is there any sheriff's organization, border patrol organization, law enforcement organization that supports this idea?
I don't know of one.
So where did this come from? And what's the point of it? I mean, what would be the goal of this?
The goal, and this has been tough for me to get to, and I don't say this with ease, but this is pure identity politics. I can draw no other conclusion from this last-minute stunt that it's insane, Tucker. So it's got to be driven by identity politics, and I really think the ultimate goal is open borders.
It seems that way. Mr. Morgan, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Tucker.
So here's a question. If it's wise to cap the number of illegal immigrants our government can detain, why not cap the number of American citizens we can detain as well? There are over 2 million of them now in prison. Univision anchor Enrique Acevedo supports this plan, and he joins us to explain. Enrique, thanks very much for coming on. So let me just start with that question, which seems like the obvious one. If we're saying that it's somehow immoral to hold more than a certain number of illegal aliens, why is it not immoral to hold more than a certain number of American citizens?
Well, Tucker, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but not to their own facts. I just heard your last guest say that illegal immigration is on the rise here in the U.S., which is completely wrong and not according to my opinion. to the own administration's numbers. You look at CBP and what it has reported since 2000, and we have a dramatic decrease in the number of undocumented immigrants coming into the U.S.
How many illegal aliens are in the country now? Do you know?
Let's just have, there are different estimates. You say 22 million.
So anywhere between 12 and 22 million.
Which is the number we've had, we were working for the last 50 years.
But hold on, before we even progress into the details, just thematically, why, if it's a good idea to cap the number of illegals we can hold, and 88%, as you just heard, DHS number, have been charged with a different crime, not entering. Why shouldn't we do the same for American citizens? Why are we letting illegals live by a more lenient standard?
I think, though, about those who are proposing this idea. I think it's important to realize what ICE does and what it doesn't. It's not Border Patrol. It's not in charge of border enforcement. ICE's mission is to fight dangerous criminals in the U.S., like gangs, MS-13, and many other gangs. Their job is not to go to courthouses, for example, like they've been going to in New York, a 1,700% increase since 2016, to prosecute and basically go after families that are trying to,
I'm sorry. I don't think you started by saying that
legal system. So
nobody is entitled to his own facts. Hold on. I asked you two questions. You didn't answer either one, but I want to press you on this fact, which is that 88% of the illegal aliens that ICE is currently holding have been charged with or convicted of a separate criminal act, not entering the country illegally, but
for example, crime. The vast majority of them, or driving
I don't know that. By the way, I don't know if that's true, but I don't give. Is that okay?
Licenses to undocumented immigrants.
So DUI. So we're not going to punish people for DUI now because it's racist. I mean, what are you saying?
Sanction.
Okay, but hold on. I think all of us would agree that. Are you arguing that DUI is not a serious offense?
No.
People die from DUI all the time.
Okay.
No, not driving without a license.
But
you just said it was overwhelming. No.
Hold on.
That's not true. Hold on. It's not true. Address the fact that the overwhelming majority of people held by ICE right now have been convicted of or charged with an actual crime, as you would say.
But
why would we let them out?
Would you characterize those as violent, dangerous
crimes?
I
would characterize DUI as
society.
Yes, I would characterize DUI as a very serious crime. It's very common, as you know, for people here legally to be arrested for it. But you're saying we shouldn't hold them. We hold Americans, but we shouldn't hold illegals because why? It's a simple question.
I'm not saying we should not hold illegals like you're saying, Tucker. What I'm saying is ICE should go back and focus on its original mission, go after dangerous criminals.
But if 88%
after families, after immigrants, like I said, that are going to a court and are going through a process,
but you're not addressing
which is trying to legalize their stay in this country. You ask people to do it the right way, and when they show up at court, you have ICE agents dressed as civilians going after them.
Well, I'm sure that ICE has done things you don't like, but you're ignoring. Hold on, you're ignoring that if this were to become the law, if the bed space for interior ICE detainees were capped at 16,500, that we would over time release thousands of people convicted of or charged with real crimes. Why would we want that?
Your guest also said that the vast majority of them never show up to their court dates. Do you have the actual number?
Yeah, I have the number. Actually, I'm glad you asked. 97% do not show up for their court date. 97%.
That's not true. Just last week, ICE was making up court dates in San Francisco. There were lines outside courthouses of people who had a court date, and they came in and they said,
"Okay, so that's the 3%.
I'm showing up for my court date," and there was no appointment, no record of that.
I'm giving you the freshest number we have, which is 97% disappear into the interior, and because they're illegals, it's like immoral to be upset about it. But I am an American, and I am upset about it, and I think that's fair. Enrique, thank you.
Thank you, Tucker.